All right, our first guest life story is one of struggle, resilience, and reward, and never taking no for an answer. He's been at ABC News for more than 30 years on the anchor desk at 2020 and primetime. He's broken barriers, he's won the highest accolades, and a role model for so many. A big GMT welcome to Texas native and ABC News correspondent, and What Would You Do host, John Quinones.
Right.
What a resume. Good morning.
Good morning, Alanna. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's such a pleasure to talk with you. Now, I'd be remiss to not ask how you've been doing and holding up this past year.
Well, like so many of us, I've been hunkered down. We were lucky enough, my wife and I, to move to Texas, back home to Texas a couple of years ago, right before COVID. So we've been staying socially distant, washing hands, wearing the mask everywhere I go. But I've also managed to work. We can't film What Would You Do right now because of the nature of the show. We need to be out in public. But I've been filming stories for 2020. I did the Selena anniversary of her death story on Nightline and Good Morning America. And I did that tragic story in Fort Hood about Vanessa Guillen, the soldier who died there so tragically. So I've been keeping busy and socially distant.
Very good. Hey, very good. Well, it's good to know, you, just like us, were having to adapt even on a national level too. Now, many people may not know about your story, but I'll tell you, it's the definition of resilience. From a migrant farm worker as a child to your very successful career at ABC News, you have championed the Latino American dream. Who or what would you attribute all the success to?
I think it's education and a die-hard determination to make something of myself and to make my mother and father proud. My family and I, we didn't have much growing up in San Antonio, on the west side of San Antonio, but not much more than a lot of love. I grew up in a tough neighborhood. My father was a janitor. My mother used to clean houses on the rich part of town. We were migrant farm workers. I didn't speak English when I went to the first grade. Can you imagine? Now I'm this network correspondent speaking in English and anchoring in English. So it was that. It was education and what they call in Spanish, ganas, a real determination to make something of myself, having come from where I did.
Yeah, you have quite the story. I wish we could actually give you all of Good Morning Texas to share it, because I know that you could definitely fill up all that time. You're just chock full of great information and so inspiring. And you've also been the host of What Would You Do? Of course, you're welcome. For nearly 13 years, and you mentioned right now because of the pandemic, you've kind of put that on pause. But throughout the years, has there been an episode or maybe just a moment that's really just stuck with you?
Well, we've been through a tough period in America these last few years. Hate crimes in this country, according to the FBI, are up 20% in the last 4 or 5 years. So we've done a lot of scenarios on What Would You Do, reflecting that. We've gauged people's opinions on hidden camera, right? With what do they think about the wall? What if you go down to the Mexican border and someone's complaining about illegal immigrants, assuming someone's illegal when they're really not? What do you do if you see an athlete taking a knee, protesting police brutality? What do you do if somebody wears a MAGA hat, Make America Great, a Trump hat into a restaurant and somebody's complaining about that? We've done scenarios, what if they do a Biden or Harris t-shirt, right? We've done scenarios about parents who are opposed to a vaccine. So we'll be back with a lot more of those scenarios reflecting what's going on as soon as we can get out there. But my favorites are the ones that have to do with race. Having come from where I come, they touch my heart. And those are the ones that I think resonate with me more than any of them.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of the topics, as you just mentioned, and What Would You Do, they center around racism or other culturally relatable topics. How much of what you experienced as a child and a young adult, actually dive into that just a little more, led you to create a show like this?
Well, when I was a kid, we were migrant farm workers for a while. We picked tomatoes in Ohio and cherries in Michigan. And we would, on Sundays, we'd be off from work and we would go shopping, for a hamburger or an ice cream or go to a secondhand store for clothes. And when we'd go in there, because of the way we were dressed, because of the color of my skin, I'm Mexican American, because of the accent in my voice, people would follow me and my sisters around. We were kids, but they would follow us around the store, and my parents, by the way, assuming that we might steal something, very suspicious of, they clearly weren't happy that we were there. Those kinds of experiences, I think, make me perfect for the show, because I know what it's like. I've been there. I know what it's like to be shunned simply because of the way I look. And we all make those assumptions. We judge people by their appearances. It happened to me at an airport the other day where someone presumed that I didn't speak English. So, of course, I think that's why I'm so proud to do this show. And I can't wait to get back out there and film again. What Would You Do? Later in the summer, I think, or the fall.
And this is some of the things that we're going to be discussing this evening. You are the guest speaker of the Educational First Steps, second installment of the Munson Lecture Series. Why is this cause important for you, and what can attendees expect? I'm sure a little more of what we're doing right now.
Exactly. Well, I'll talk about my life, but I'm so proud of this organization. It's a fabulous organization that helps with more than 8,000 children from birth to the age of 5 years old, providing them with quality early education that ignites their minds at a time when children need it the most. And most of these kids are poor, and they're children of color. Many of them live in poverty. You know, experts tell us that 85% of our brain's development, the human brain development, happens in the first 3 years of a child's life. So EFS, Educational First Steps, provides these kids with that kind of help, and it can literally transform their lives, socially, emotionally, economically, and intellectually. It's vital, this organization, and it's crucial, and that kind of education is crucial, and that's why I'm so proud to be with them tonight, this afternoon, and to have you there, of course, too, to run the whole thing.
John, we're going to be hanging out all day long. It's going to be an Alanna John kind of day, but it was so great to talk with you this morning on GMT. I want to quickly let you know, you spoke with the WFAA team a few months back, one of our big team meetings, and one thing that my team, Good Morning Texas, gained from you is something we've been trying to live by, and that's shining a light on the moved and the shaken, as opposed to the movers and the shakers. And it's really kind of helped us, redirect some things here on GMT, and we love it, and we like the direction it's going. So thank you for speaking with us. I'll see you this afternoon. Okay.
See you later.
But for those who want some tickets to continue this conversation, to hear more of John's incredible story, you can go to educationalfirststeps.org or text one child to the number right there on your screen. It's 91999.